So now if the Earth is round, how big is Earth? You might want to check for that. There was a famous experiment conducted by Eratosthenes. Eratosthenes. And the two cities in the old world, and one of them, they knew that at 12 noon on a particular day of the year, that the sun was directly overhead and you could see the bottom of a well.
Oh, okay.
You don't run around looking at the bottoms of wells.
No.
Because the light doesn't take, it's just, no.
Doesn't get down there.
Doesn't get down there. How can we use this observation to see if Earth's surface is curved? We needed another well. Turns out we can't see the bottom of both wells at the same time. What might explain this? Well, there are two possible explanations. First, we could have a flat Earth with the sun that's small and close by, so that the light hits the second well at an angle. Or second, we could have a curved Earth with a sun that's big and far away, so that all the light comes in parallel, but only one well at a time is lit all the way to the bottom. Turns out with just two wells, there's enough wiggle room for both explanations to fit our observations. Eratosthenes only had two wells, but what if he had added a third? With a third well, it doesn't matter where the sun is. No flat Earth model can explain the angles of all three shadows, but the spherical model explains it all three angles, with ease. And to do this experiment, you got to measure the angles. Greeks had the angles.
Yeah.
Okay, in fact, geometry translates to Earth measurement.
Well, here comes a new thing. This is a new claim from Globe Believers. Thank you, Neil. I am glad you finally considered our theory. So you are saying that Eratosthenes should have at least used 3 wells to confirm the shape of the Earth. But why didn't he do it? Was it so hard to do? Anyway, he did it or not, he is already debunked. Here is a video that I made before you even made this interview to debunk Eratosthenes' method. Check it out and tell me if the flat Earth model still doesn't work.
Zach's experiment in fact proved that Eratosthenes' experiments require a second look. There are at least 2 possible ways to make the angles of elevation work. The first possible way is what the globe model is, a curved land and parallel sun rays. And the second possible way is a flat land and a curved sky and refracted sun rays. Eratosthenes chose the first option without considering the effect of the atmosphere, like the atmosphere didn't exist at that time. Now, modern science agrees that the atmosphere works as a lens, but in the meantime it agrees with Eratosthenes' experiment. These are 2 very different ways of thinking, and we cannot have it both ways. If science agrees that refraction changes the sun's position, then science is admitting that there is no way they can triangulate the sun from Earth. Therefore, the distance to the sun and the size of it should remain unknown. Now, if we go back to Zach's experiment, we will see that he made the math that Eratosthenes used to prove his theory works on a flat land as well. And all he did was consider the effect of the atmosphere. So he put some nails on a flat table just to measure the angles of elevation the same way Eratosthenes did. And he added a concave lens considering that the atmosphere works as a concave lens. He did the same math and got a circumference of a ball. So if Eratosthenes was a small person on that table that cannot see the lens that is representing the atmosphere, he would think that the flat table he is standing on is actually a globe, because his math is based on the light rays being parallel. You cannot make assumptions and build the entire model based on that same assumption. So there you go, Neil. The angles of elevation can work on a flat land if we include the atmosphere, or let's just say refraction, to our math. How can you ignore the atmosphere's effect, Mr. Neil?
I can't summarize it better. Thank you, brother. So, by just adding a concave lens above the flat Earth, it made all angles of elevation work perfectly just like they work on the globe. But now, you are going to say that there is no dome above us. But I'm not even saying that there is a dome. I am just saying that the atmosphere could be working like the concave lens. Of course, you will say that the atmosphere bends the light downwards, and you will give me an example by shooting the laser through water. But the atmosphere is not like water, and you should already know that. So we did long distance laser tests to see how refraction works on the air, and we discovered that it bends the light upwards instead of downwards. So we have proved with the experiments that the atmosphere can bend the light upwards, which means that the sunlight can be bent in the opposite direction like I showed in this experiment. And that will make the flat earth model important, because you assume that when the apparent sun is above the horizon line, the real sun is already below it. But our experiments prove the opposite. And that is a big problem for your model. But you will ignore it and answer me with more assumptions. Many people may not understand what I'm talking about here, but I am sure you understand it very well, Neil. If the atmosphere bends the light upwards, you got a serious problem with the entire globe model. The apparent sun that you claim it's above the real sun during sunset or sunrise, now it would be below the real sun. And that means your entire model is debunked.
Now we just showed you that there is a scientific explanation that explains that. What else you gonna say?